Since there are only about 44 of us here, so we will just start with the assignments. So because the session is being recorded, so whatever I answer for the assignment, other people may also can refer to the recording later on. Anyone have any questions on the assignments or IDP? I believe you are handing in your IDP very soon for 1 and 2, okay? Anything on the report and all that, I think you need to ask Dr. Razak lah. But if you talk about project management things that we expect to see, you can ask me, okay? That we expect to see in the report, then you can ask me about that. No questions at all. Have you started on your assignments? It's going to be due soon, in about 20 days, I think. Less than 20 days. No questions at all? Okay, wow. So you all are very steady, yeah? Semua pandai buat sudah. Okay, basically we have already finished the construction law and legal terms, terminologies classes, okay? So up to last week, week 11, all the legal, and all that, all those classes are all pre-recorded and they have already been put up in e-libs, okay? So there's about, I think, 10 recordings altogether. And I think I mean, today is going to be a continuation, but if we talk about the hardcore legal issues and construction law terminologies and terms and all that, for you to understand what are the formation of a contract and some of the points that needs to be in a contract, like remedials, like discharge of responsibilities. All these things will be part and parcel of the contract that you need to manage and that you need to administer, which we will be talking about in this week's class, okay? With today's face-to-face, it will be starting of construction administration. And I will also post some recording, whatever that is left unfinished today, I will post some recording over the weekends for you all to finish up the construction contract administration lectures. Okay, you have to be aware that next week we will be doing dispute resolution, followed by risk management, and finally on the last week I will do engineering economics with you. And those of you who are very keen in engineering economics, what I'm doing with you is actually just a very surface basic, terms and all that, and some little bit of calculation, but mostly you will get, if you're interested in these topics of engineering economics, project studies, feasibility studies, and all that, you can take Dr. Lee's class in year 4 next semester. Register for her engineering economy elective class, okay? And I think the maximum people that they are taking in one elective class is only 30 plus, something like that, I think. Yeah. So grab it if you're interested, because I've already given you some basic on engineering economics already, so you know what to expect in those classes. Okay. So that will wrap up our next few weeks, and everything is on in time, perfectly on the dot. And I will also do an examination sessions with you guys, which is going to be more on what to expect in exams and all that. Okay, that will be week 14. So make sure that you guys are around, and yeah. All right, now that is how we're going to flow. Assignments is going to be your project. The group project is going to be due on the 24th or 25th of January. Then if you do need a bit of extra time, which I am really doubtful that I'll be giving a lot of extra time, but we'll try to stick within that week, that particular time. If need to, also maximum put a few days only. So don't expect, if you haven't get started yet, don't expect it to turn out that I will give you like 2 weeks or something like that, and then that would be a very wrong expectation. Okay, right. Everybody can hear me. There's about 72 people here already. So this is our housekeeping work. And another warning again and again to everybody that this particular project management class is different from Constack or the engineering management class that you take in year 1, because you're in year 4. This is a lot of heavy stuff that you're going through in a very short time, okay? Like you see, 14 weeks, how many topics that we've covered with you actually, and in a lot of details. It's not like saying that, we just touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. We actually don't, you see. So if you don't listen to the recording, which I posted up, as soon as possible, get it going as soon as possible, you will find yourself in a lot of trouble trying to understand the notes and all that. And even though all the posting is neatly done in e-leaks, you can go week by week what we've covered and all that. But there's a lot of knowledge which you cannot digest, okay, in your study week, because you have also got another 3 or 4 subjects that you need to worry about, okay? So there's no way that you can handle it and manage project management classes by not listening to the recording consistently as we go along, and reading the notes and going through whatever that you need to go through, and reading up and all that. If you don't do that, you haven't been doing that, you think that this is going to be a very easy subject because that you're going to, it's all theory, it's going to be all reading, it's going to be all writing, and then you're going to have all the notes in front of you during exams, and then you can just copy and paste, and then you're going to pass exams, okay? I almost can tell you it doesn't work that way. Without a very deep understanding of all the topics that we have gone through, even though the notes are there, you really, when you see the question, you do not know where to copy and where to paste, okay? So then you're going to end up that 6 hours is going to be like a nightmare for everybody. And then you're going to fail it and then do it again next semester, okay? And I tell you, even easy subjects like Constat last year, Constat is very, very straightforward. Every subject, every topic, you finish that topic, is finished. It doesn't join to the next topic, that kind of thing. So you can pick concrete, you study concrete. You can pick formwork, you study formwork. You can pick IBS, you study IBS. You study that few weeks, the topic is all set there already, and it doesn't overflow into other topics. So in that way, even if you want to tembak on your exam or what to study and what to learn, it's a lot easier. And many of you did very badly in Constat. I think must be the fourth time I mentioned these things. I see you for PM about your Constat. Nobody got an A, or is it one person got an A? Everybody was borderline, and with a topic like that, and everybody already at borderline, I don't know what's going to happen with a topic like PM, that, there's really a lot of things to worry, to study for, okay? And ethics last year is a little bit like PM, but it's only 2 credit hour, once a week kind of class, and you've got 60 people failing out of 111 or 112 students, okay? That's more than 60% people failing, and all of them, if they're qualified, we gave them another exam at the end of the at the end of the JANA, because they're graduating students, and this is the last class that they have to go through, and still there was about 10 or 12 that didn't get through, and they have to come back to repeat ethics this year, okay? So it has never happened before, and this is the first time, and it's all due to this pasar of online. You guys are treating online too lightly, okay? So I don't want to sound like an old lady nagging, I'm not that old yet, I'm not near retirement age also, so I really don't want to go through this again and again and again with you, okay? So those of you who hasn't been catching up, can you please start to do so as soon as possible, right now, today, I know you're busy with other things, but who isn't busy with other things? All your 111, 20 classmates are busy with other things as well, So let's get going, okay? Right. So let me share my screen. There's only 81 of you. I know some of you are still in this IBP presentation. Oh, boy. Okay. Right. So we have gone through all the legal aspects, the legality, why, how you form a contract is according to the Contract Act, some of the legal terms and conditions that it needs to be made in a contract to make it a valid contract, okay? Otherwise, you embark onto a contract that is not valid. At the end of the day, if there's any problem, in a contract will never be an issue if you have no problem, okay? If you have no problem with parties not paying, if everybody is behaving themselves, actually contract is just a set of documents that you need to keep under your desk. That's all, It's just about wasting paper and printing things. But that is not the case, you see. A lot of times there is a lot of issues that crop up, in terms of management, in terms of administration, in terms of technical, and then it all goes back to the contract, because a contract actually defines the work. The contract actually defines the scope, of and the obligation of the parties involved. It defines on what the owner wants you to do, and it also defines all the rights that you have. And with the rights that you have in a project, you have a lot of obligation. It's about, civilization, trying to make sure that everybody is behaving, in the right way. You're not barbarian. You are not from the the Mesopotamian era, you're not Kuno, so you are civilized people, and civilized people needs to know how to behave. And unfortunately, some civilized people have too much of thinking that they try to not behave, you see, and try to get away with trying to behave, you see. So contract is there in the civilized society to govern how you should behave when you are transacting with one another. It's just like when you have a sales contract, you go to the shop, you want to buy something, it's listed there. These are the things that will be sold to you, and then you pay how much and how to pay and when to pay, and then you're going to take it home. Who is going to send it to you? Who's going to fix it for you? It's all there in the contract. It's about how you transact with one another. So it lists down that scope of work, it lists down that rights and obligation, it lists down all the financial initiatives, and with all that, it actually tells you what kind of risk that you are actually having in the job, you see. So these are why you need to contract, why you must have a contract. There is no such thing. Okay, when I come back from university many years back, about 20 over years back, when I embark onto projects, there are still some very small projects that we don't sign a contract, but we will get them to sign a very simple reply to the quotation kind of thing. And that was 20 plus years ago. And at that time, we will still have people trying to say that contract is just absolutely useless, but unfortunately, things has changed drastically, even before I went into my 5th year of engineering work, I've already seen a massive changes in how Sarawakian, Malaysian, I would say Sarawakian people are actually approaching even simple work like renovation. We will also have a contract already. So there's a vast changes in the mentality of understanding why you should have a contract, okay? So in terms of procurement, what we are actually having is you need to choose, your client has a job that wants to be done, that needs to be done. He has some needs, he has some desires, to actually carry out something, to actually own something, a house, shop lots, or showroom, or, new business factories, whatever. Okay, your client can be government who is serving the people, so they need to build hydraulic treatment, they need to build hydraulic power plant, they need to build they need to build airports, they need to build road, they need to build sewage pipeline, sewage treatment plant, So your client has these needs and desire, and they engage professional people like the engineer, architects to work out the scope of work. And then after that, they will actually go out and go shopping, And when they go shopping, that is like saying that they are doing procurement. So they need somebody to do the job for them. So then they need to set up the procurement mode. They need to set up the basic of that relationship with the different people in the job, like how the client who is going to behave is going to transact with the designer, how the client will transact with the contractor, and that is in a form of procurement method. So with the procurement method, I already asked you guys to actually do some research on procurement method, and I'm sure some of you have. If you don't, I did post up some notes for week 13 that half of the notes talk about the procurement method that I've spoken about, and the other half was about dispute. So I just posted up as a surprise gift for everybody who is too lazy to actually go and read up on procurement method. If some of you did read up, you've already done a very good job, and I'm sure you will do very well because there is an initiative taken and there is a better understanding of the topics, okay? So with the procurement method, it defines that relationship and who you're going to be contracting with, you see. So once the procurement method is set, that means there is going to be a contract that is going to be enforced, okay? So before we move into contract administration, I want to talk to you about types of contract. As you can see, this is construction Administration Note 2. There should be another Construction Contract Administration Note 1, whereby I have all these different type of contract that is available, but I don't know where it is now at the moment, because I have been, because we have MCO, so some of my notes is in the office, some of my notes is in my home laptop, and some of my notes is actually in my email, some of my notes is actually in my hard drive. So I have got bits and pieces everywhere. So I hope that after, because this is the first time we have a session, because it used to be we're always doing like, fixed class face to face, you see, but now we have got online. So, this is the first time, so I do need to reorganize a lot of things. Okay, so anyway, I will post it up, try to find it tomorrow, because I have a whole stretch of meetings today that was going to finish before after 5, I think. So what I will do is I will go back to the office tomorrow and look for that Note 1. I've been trying to search for my phone for my handy drive and my hard drive. I've only found Note 2, but I don't know what happened to Note 1. Okay, so Note 1 will tell you all the different type of different type of contracting method. Okay, so first contracting method, which you will see a lot, is lump sum. Okay, so you will see that traditional general contracting, they will say traditional lump sum. Okay, so don't get confused. Procurement method defines that relationship of who and how you're going to contract with each other. Contracting method is about how this particular contract is going to be carried out, okay, especially the financial initiative. Okay? It's pretty much defined by the financial initiative of how you're going to pay people, okay? So when you see traditional lump sum, it usually means that traditional general contracting, which is client will engage a contractor and contract directly with the contractor with a lump sum contract. Lump sum contract is basically the contractor will quote the whole scope of work, they will read through the scope of work, they will study the scope of work, and they will tell you, this is how much it's going to cost. I'm going to bring in these people, I'm going to bring in this work, I'm going to bring in this material, I'm going to do this, and that, and this is the money that you're going to pay me at the end of the day. 2 million, 500,000, 200,000, 20,000. So the actual, that particular commitment that the owner will have to give, have to pay. So it's just like you go and buy a car, and you say that the owner of the car tells you that this car is going to be 125,000. So that is lump sum. So with the car, it comes, of course, you're going to get 125,000. When he delivers the car, you must get whatever that you see on the day of the negotiation. There must be engine, there must be aircon, there must be steering wheel, there must be everything inside there. So you're not going to go like doing a Flintstone ad with your car, with your leg running on the road and there's no tire kind of thing, So that one is the concept of lump sum. They're going to provide this particular picture to you. They're going to provide this particular set of scope to you at the end of the day, and you need to pay them 125, for example, 125,000 lump sum. Okay, and lump sum, of course, can be done by stages of payment, which we will talk about later on in construction contract administration. Okay, and so what happened is, after when you talk about lump sum, you ask yourself, you ask me, maybe you will ask me, doctor, after a while, if we sign a lump sum contract, if things are different on site, how? Well, if things are different on site, if these things are not part of the scope, okay, not part of the scope that is already been defined, you will go for what we call a VO, a variation order, meaning that there will be variation, there will be changes in the pricing and in the scope of work. Okay, so that is VO. If you realize that this is the scope of work, but I miscalculate, I miss out on 1-2 button of pipe, because on site itself, you actually go down and do, there are some places that that you miscalculated is actually longer than expected, okay? Well, in that sense, you cannot claim for extra because you've already promised the owner to finish up whatever the scope of work that he has given you, okay? You have read through it. We assume that you've already gone to site and do a site walkabout. You've already done studies, on how much you should be getting, okay? If you tell the client, oh, my highly contracted rest price, my concrete supplier say that now cannot be 125, it has to be 250 or 150. Can you raise your price for me? Well, contractually, in lump sum contract, you can't unless you activate the clauses on inflation of goods. Then that one is another separate issue. Otherwise, for lump sum contract, you generally cannot change the scope of work, and you generally have to provide all the materials, all that you have, all that you need to finish the work, machinery, labor, whatever, to make sure that you hand over that particular scope of work to the client at that final price that you have already tendered and proposed. So that is what we call a lump sum contract, okay? So the best matching, the best kawan that lump sum contract will always have is traditional general contracting or a traditional mode of procurement. So that one is directly meeting with the contractor. The scope of work is done, it's very clear, it's all there. Then you can go for a lump sum contract, which is much better, okay? If the scope of work, there may be part of it that is not so sure, you can actually activate what we call a BQ contract or quantity-based contract, whereby you are contracting based on the rate. So when you propose to the client and tender, the quantity of materials, the quantity of work that is available are actually just an estimation by the client's QSs or engineers, but it is not finalized. For example, piling. I would say that there is in the point, I would say that there is in the BQ, I would say that there is going to be 120 points, in this particular structure or in this particular project. And each point, I will need to pile 2 piles of 6 meters length. That is an estimation. So when you put the rate down there, so it's 120 point, 12 meter times by 120 points. So it's about 112 meters is about 14,400 meters, okay, if I'm not wrong with my maths, okay? So then from there, you quote per meter, including of piling, machineries, everything, lump sum. I don't use the word lump sum. The rate is material, the piles is one rate, the workmanship is one rate. So you key in 2 rates there. So maybe 100 ringgit per meter, the piles is going to be 120, 150 ringgit per meter. So then that rate is fixed. So when on site, when it comes to a BQ contract, when you're actually piling, somebody needs to sit there and do record and how many meters goes in and how many meters left out and hacking, how many pile hacks and what are the pile cap sizes and everything. Everything needs to be recorded because at the end of the day, you will be paid according to the rate. So let's say in total you have done 15,000 meter of piles. You'll be paid 15,000 meters times by 150 times by 100 for workmanship per meter. If you actually only pile 135 instead of 144,000, you are going to be paid 135,000. That is BQ contract. So the entire project, concreting, pipeline, drainage per meter, everything will be measured on site. So it's very important with the technology that you have nowadays. You will take a lot of pictures with your handphone. You will take a lot of videos with your handphone. You will do your drone, and then do the measurement, or you just use traditional rulers and tapes to do the measurement. Then you do very good record. Remeasurement contract is very troublesome. It needs a lot of attention from both parties because every single meter cube, every meter square is money. Okay, so if you are not up to doing that, normally we don't want to embark on that. You need to have a lot of manpower to do remeasurement contract or BQ contract. But unfortunately, it is good when you do have scope of work that is not very clear, not very complete, and you can actually start the work as soon as possible. So there is a lot of contract that is BQ contract that is around, and it goes with a lot of things. It goes with design and build. It goes with turnkey quite well. It goes with traditional general contracting as well. It's fine as well. So it's quite a flexible kind of contract because it gives that flexibility. You're only committing the rate, you're not committing the entire pricing. So lump sum contract, even though it's not so flexible, but it gives people a lot of certainties, whereby traditional general contracting, whereby BQ contract don't. BQ contract will give people a lot of room for movement. And so that is what we call remeasurement, BQ contract. And don't get confused with schedule of rates, okay? Schedule of rates can be in BQ contract. It can also be in lump sum contract. It's just a schedule, a whole list of schedule of materials, of workmanship, of machinery, and their associated rates. Because you may want to get the contractor to actually do a bit of additional work, or there may be some deduction of you don't want to use certain things halfway through, or you want to change the paint to a better quality one. So you need to know how much to deduct out or how much to add in and all that. So they will have workman kind of a schedule, right? They will have material schedule, right? And those rates that you put there is a commitment to that particular project. So meaning that when you have additional or deduction of work later on, it will be based on the rate that you put down in the schedule of rate. Okay? So be very careful. Study the schedule of rate very carefully because they may end up activating that particular schedule of rate. And then if you don't put enough, okay, let's say you tembak saja, suka put only, and then later on, when they do activate a VO work, some clients are very smart, they see that certain schedule rate that you put is very, very cheap, and then they will come and say, oh, can you just add on this one for me, and you say, okay, sure, additional work, happy, bahkan. They end up, you look at the schedule rate, you put like 50% cheaper. Of course, they want to do lah. So then they will force you to use the schedule rate, and you have no choice because you've already signed a contract and the schedule rate is there. Okay, so these are the things that you have to be very careful when you're actually putting down in the contract. Okay, so these are the two most famous, the most famous kind of contract method of contracting types that is available all around the world. And there are other things like guarantee maximum price, meaning that you are embarking onto a contract that you guarantee to have certain maximum price for the contract. So let's say this is a 5 million job, you put down there 5 million, this is the maximum that you will go. And then you will try to reduce the costs, and then you will do profit sharing to the client and also the contractor. So this is what we call a GMP kind of contract. So a lot of people are actually using this sort of contract in order to motivate the contractor to really be very careful about the work and save the costs, And then when you have GMP, also the client will be very, very sure that this is the certainty of the maximum that you will ever go. So if they're prepared 5 million, if they're prepared to spend 5 million, then this is the maximum that they will actually end up spending. So anything else that go overboard, then it's another contractual issues that we have to deal with. Okay, it can be under VO, it can be not allowed. So we will have to see. Okay, but maximum guarantee when you sign a GMP, guarantee maximum price kind of contract, you really cannot go anywhere beyond that. Anything under that, there will be a good level of profit sharing between the contractor and also the client. Okay, so the note 1 will actually explain all these things on GMP and all that. And there's a fourth type of contract that is actually a very smart kind of contract, but has not been very successful in Malaysia. Okay, and that is what we call cost plus contract. So cost plus means that cost plus something else, meaning that you are entering into the project telling the client all the costs of the project. The client will be paid by the bills. If you order concrete, they will pay the concrete bills. Plus what? Plus your management fees. So you may say, I want to charge you 5% management fees out of the entire cost. So if the cost end up to be 5 million, 5% will be 250,000. So you will have a 250,000 management fees. So there will be a cost plus management fees, cost plus fixed fees, cost plus percentage of fees, or cost plus. There's a lot of way that you can cost plus something else. So there are circumstances whereby because cost plus contracts are always activated because the scope of work is very, very unclear. There's a lot of things that is unknown. So some very clever people decided that, as the contractor worked, they would pay for all the costs and then they would just plus something for the contractor. Well, professionally, it seems to be a very good idea. It seems to be working out pretty well. But unfortunately, there are certain circumstances that this is being abused, for example. So, like, I think some of the shell kind of project, they actually use this sort of method. So what happened is because it's cost plus, so meaning that if the executive are going to KL for a meeting and they have another meeting in Kuching, okay? So instead of buying a ticket that flies to KL, okay, and then Sambong to Kuching and fly back to Miri, they will buy a ticket for go to KL, okay, and come back to Miri, and then fly out again from Miri to Kuching, and then it adds the cost because they will make the cost very big because they have a percentage of fees, okay, if they use by percentage of fees, okay, and then of course they will be able to claim more things like claim hotels, claim food, and all that. So it becomes a separate claim. So it actually increased the cost quite a fair bit. And there was I think it's UTM or UTM, UTM. Which UTM I don't remember, or is it UITM? Sorry, UITM. One of the UITM in West Malaysia, I think in JP, if I'm not wrong. They had a project that was using cost plus, and what happened was, I think there was some Korean contractors or something like that. So they go by cost plus. Yes, the cost plus was doing quite well, but unfortunately, the Korean contractor, because the work is actually unknown, so the timing for the job, you cannot really determine it clearly and fix it very properly. So what happened was they end up dragging the job because there was a management fee. So every month they stay on the job, the company get a fixed management fee, like maybe 100K or 200K or something like that. So if they stay on a job for 2 years, they will get a 200K every month for 2 years. If you stay in the job for 3 years, they will say, get a management fees of 200,000 every month kind of thing, So it becomes failures. So this sort of contracting mode has failed. It has failed that contract. So again, the advantages and disadvantages of different contracting model or contracting type or contract type or contract model, these are pretty much dependent on the professionalism of the people. That's number one. And number two, the characteristic of the project, and the level of the level of resources that you have in terms of management. So if you don't have enough people to manage the job, okay, you probably cannot really go for certain type of contract. You may as well go for lump sum. So, but unfortunately, these are some of the pitfalls of different type of contract. It's just like everybody has a negative point. You know, like not everybody is perfect. Not every contracting type, not every procurement type are perfect. Okay. So once the contracting model are being fixed already, you need to fix the contract documents. And that contract documents is normally, I mentioned in my recording, we use what we call a standard form of contract, okay? Before I'm moving any further, is there anything that you guys want to ask me? Because I've been talking and talking and talking. I really felt like I'm talking to myself, you know. Any questions? No, please go chat any questions. Only 90 of you, another 20 plus of you listen. So I may as well do pre-recorded next time. Okay, no more questions, okay? Oh, I never know. It's like, I feel like I'm just babbling off, you know, like a mad woman to myself when I'm here, you know, because you guys are so quiet. Can you actually hear me? But nobody said that they can't hear me now. Huh? All right, so we'll try to end the class before 11:30. Then the rest that is unfinished, I will do the pre-recording for the rest of you to go through, who is not here to go through as well. So yeah, so with the different type of contract documents, in a contract documents, you will have drawings, okay? So obviously drawings are very tailor-made. It's actually one project, one drawing, one self drawing, one cannot repeat, you know, you cannot copy drawings from other places. And then you also have specification, which you actually write by yourself, supposedly, but you usually copy and paste from here and there. Then after that, you will also have your PQP, okay, that you may need to submit. And you may also need to submit your work method statement if, let's say, you are actually embarking onto a design and build kind of contract. And then there will be what we call the contract itself. Okay, the contract itself will encompass two parts. Number one is going to be the general conditions of contract. Number two is going to be the special conditions of contract. So all these will list down the terms and conditions of the contract, of your project, of how you're working in conjunction with the rest of the documents and specifications like work method statement and also your schedules and also your drawings. You know, you work in conjunctions, it will actually be part and parcel. So the whole bundle is actually bundled together. They will work they will cross-reference to one another. So general conditions of contract, I've also mentioned in my pre-recorded classes for last week's sessions that we don't write our own general conditions of contract. Okay, we will actually get a ready-made general GO. Okay, the ready-made GOs are actually written by very famous, not say famous, but very reputable authority. And my research actually, my PhD, my research are all in standard form of contract, and it's an area that I specialize in actually contract and contracting. Okay, and so in Malaysia, generally we've got 5 different authorities that actually write GOs, general conditions of contract. One of them is in Sarawak is JKR Sarawak. So there's going to be a new one coming up very soon. The old one is actually 2006. And the first time when I do research, you know, my research was actually in the oldest form of contract. That was PWD 75. It was done in the year 60 plus, and it was all the way in use until 2000, year 2000 plus, was that law, 40 plus years, and Sarawak government never changed it, okay? And it was very outdated, so then they improved it to 2006, or no, was it 2000, and then they have another one of 2006, and then they are going to really revamp again, I think, soon, very soon, and taking out a lot of things like extension of time. So these are the things that you will be facing in the future when you're doing contract administration, not, that your future will be involving things like that. And then there will be PWD, the PWD or Public Works, JKR Jabatan Kerja Raya, which is also the PWD department. So it's Public Works Department. It's actually the same. JKR and PWD is the same. But PWD is actually more in the West Malaysia side. So they use PWD 203 set of general condition. They have design and build, and they also have traditional. They've also got traditional, the one for traditional general contracting. I think this one is called PWD 203A, and there's a PWD 203DB, if I'm not wrong, design and build. So those are the government authority that wrote PWD, that wrote GO, General Conditions of Contract, and the more voluntary organization or the bodies that write, their regulatory bodies that wrote GOs are actually PAM, Pertukangan Architect Malaysia, and IEM. IEM now has a 2010, if I'm not wrong. There's another one, 2010. You need to know the old one as well, because some authority or some client are still using the old ones, which is very sad. Okay, and they've forgot that they have some new ones that they have to look into, and things have already changed. Okay, so here with this standard general conditions of contract, you are actually basically going through the motion of not need to write all your terms and conditions, and because this GO already follow Contract Act of Malaysia, so a lot of things inside there like discharge, like rights and obligations, versus certain issues. So they will go by issues. Inside there, they will go by, issues that talk about time, issue that talks about survey work, issue that talks about material, issue that talks about payment, money, So there will be different issues, but it's written based on how you form a contract, which the legality of it we've already mentioned in week 11. So all this formation of the contract to discharge to remedies based on the different issues that is available in the normal construction environment. This is what we call a standard form of contract that puts down the general conditions of contract. I have already written it accordingly. So we don't need to take out a piece of paper and start to write your own contract. So we don't need to do that. So this is a one-size-fits-all t-shirt. So it's a matter of you choose which contract form that you want to use. And if it's not enough, you want to add in some supplementary amendments or supplementary conditions to your particular project, you can do that. So with all this, it forms the contract document, and then you will prepare a section for tender or proposal, and then together we send it out for tendering, which we've already gone through the tendering model and tendering processes in week 10. Remember, in construction management, we talk about tendering and all that. So these are the whole flow of work. So once the tender is completed, okay, so refer back to week 10 for tender if you haven't done so. So these are the flow of how the whole procurement process is like. And then after that, you issue the letter of award, and then you sign the contract. And the contract that you sign is basically the bundle that you actually put into doing the proposal and doing the tendering stage of the project. So then once it's signed, we all move into what we call the contract administration aspects of the contract. Okay. So this is going to be construction contract administration class from now on. Are we clear? Any questions? Any questions from the floor? Anything that you are really, really blur and unclear about? Without understanding this flow, okay, without understanding this flow, you'll probably be very confused, of how different things are being slotted in different things. Then all the terms you get very confused, say, oh, why traditional lump sum, what does it mean, and then how come got traditional, and then how come got turnkey, and then how come turnkey will be BQ, then you say, how come some places say contract, some places say procurement method, you see? So, you really need to be very clear, your brain cannot be foggy, cannot be muddy, my dear, okay? All right. So if there's no questions, we will move on, okay, and talk about construction contract administration. I'll finish up in about 20 minutes, and then anything that I cannot cover, I will cover it in the pre-recorded lecture. I'll probably be covering another 30 to 40 minutes in pre-recorded lectures. I suspect so. Okay. Right. So actually contract management actually is a lot of issues. There's a lot of things you need to manage. It's just like managing the site. You have a lot of things. You need to manage materials, you need to manage workmanship, you need to manage money, you need to manage time, you need to manage the workers, you need to manage the machineries. And contract is also one thing that you need to manage. And it covers many issues that will be happening on site. It is like, it's going to tell you how contractor, client, engineers, superintending officers must behave. Okay, so in every contract, there should be three parties here. One of them definitely is a contractor. You cannot not have a contractor in a construction contract. And then you definitely have a client. And the client is actually the employer, sometimes we refer them to, okay? Right, and then you also have the engineer or the architect, or we sometimes lump them up and call them the superintending officer, okay? So superintending officers and their representative, superintending officers will be the engineer or the architect or the organization that is appointed by the client, very specifically by the client. JKR will appoint their own director as the SO, but the SO representative will be the most senior engineers and also the resident engineer, the clerk of work. Those are all what we call SO or superintending officers representative. So in PAM contract, superintending officers is the architect. In IEM contract, superintending officers is the engineer. So most of the government project will use JKR or PWD contract, and most of the private project have the option to use government contract. They have the option to use IEM, CIDB, or contract. So it's either Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia. A lot of structures, a lot of building project will use PAM, and civil project will use IEM or CIDB. But CIDB is not very popular because they feel like it's very contractor friendly. Okay. So when you understand the parties in the contract, then you have to understand that there will be things that needs to be filled up, like for example, the scope of work, which they will ask you to refer to the contract drawings and specifications and BQs and all that. And then they will put there the sum of the contract, what is the final sum that you need to pay, or they will put in the BQ whereby all the rates and all the sum or the quantities are all there and subjected to the measurement later. So these are all part and parcel of the contract in the contract. They will talk about legislative issues like the law of Malaysia will govern. They will talk about taxes, duties that needs to be paid. They will talk about labor ordinances as well. they will also talk about, very importantly, insurances. Normally, they'll talk about contractor to take up insurances like the workman's compensation, plus the contractors own risk. They will talk about how to deal with other authority, and they will also talk about inside that they will also talk about, very importantly, payment, and also payment issues, claims, payment issue, and performance bond, retention money, and all these monetary issues. And then they will talk about working program. They will talk about, related to time, it's going to be delays, extension of time, and liquidated damage. So these are going to be covered under time issue. Under workmanship and quality issue, they'll talk about delivery of material, checking of materials, engineers to instructions by engineers, and they'll talk about machineries, and testing and test reports and all that to be carried out and submitted and all that. So those are under quality issues. And then there will be other things like termination, which is discharge, and what else? And they may be part and parcel of the contract that talks about quantity that needs to be remeasured, because it can be a combination of lump sum plus a bit of BQ, but the BQ component will be very, very small normally. And there will be other things like subcontractor, how you deal with subcontractor or nominated subcontractor and nominated suppliers. So you see, there's many things inside here. I mean, it will take a very, very, I mean, we won't go through everything, okay? It's not possible actually, because just a time issues alone, we can have a day, we can have 8 hours of workshop on it, and then, to go through the entire contract very carefully, we can do a course. We can actually do a legal course on contract administration and legal and legislative issues, okay? Actually, contract administration and all these legal issues was actually put up as a suggestion as one of the electives. But I don't know, I think Senate not yet approved. If approved already, it should be offered very soon, but not for your years, apparently. So you can see there's a lot of things. So I'll only pick a few things to go through, which I think will be more important and which is more relevant to your work. Something that you'll see immediately, like in that sense. And the first thing is communication, okay? Communication issues, okay? Communication here, it says that, the paperwork in the contract, they will talk about how the SO must be managing the whole project, okay? And how they must carry out meetings, and if in the meetings there will be record that needs to be done. And these are all part and parcels of the project documentation. They will talk about progress report and how and when you need to submit progress reports. And then you talk about line of communication, like how what issues the contractor must inform the client and CC the engineers or the SO, or SO come out with instructions and how the instructions must be CC to the client and instruct directly to the contractor. So instructions is part of communication. Instructions by engineers is a very big issue, okay? A lot of time on site, there's communication going on. And if the engineers tells you that, I need you to work this off, I need you to change this to thicker, this wall to be thicker, I need you to add in extra concrete at this place. These are all instructions, okay? And when you have instructions for changes or instructions for repair or instructions to make things better, these instructions need to be communicated. And when you communicate that, usually it will be verbal. And usually the next thing that you do, you write it down in the site daily report. You get it signed by both parties, and that should be enough, okay? And if, let's say, in the event that the instruction is dealing with changes, then not only you should putting it down in the site daily record, okay, you must actually also, the SO must actually write the instructions very clearly and give it to the, it must be received, it must be clear, concise, given in writing to the contractor, the instructions, okay? So it's written down there in the conditions of contract of the GOs that the SO must give proper instructions, okay? And it must be in writing. And then the contractor will reply that he will get the things done and at what cost, or additional cost or deduction or whatever. So that will actually form the basis if there is any changes. So if instructions, if the contractor don't receive instructions, they receive a verbal instructions and they did not receive a proper instructions in the next 7 days. Okay, there's a timeline there. In the next 7 days, if they don't receive a written instructions, then they can deem that it's not given. So you don't have to do it unless the written instructions come. If you do it at your own risk. That means you trust the person giving the instructions very well, and then you know that they will pay you later on if there is any additional cost involved. Okay, so the best is to get that instructions to be written, communicated, sent over, email or by letter, properly chopped and signed, so that is all being recorded. So instructions, rules of instructions, like if you send documents and all that, it must be properly communicated in that sense. It must be properly communicated, meaning that there must be hard copy, soft copy, everything must be received. There must be chopped and received by the other party, or it should be in Korea sometimes. If let's say, Navy and Kuching, office in Kuching, so you need to send it back to Kuching, so you need to do a proper courier service with people delivering it, receiving it, sign and all that. So these are how we go about working on instructions. So if let's say 7 days later you didn't receive it, so you say what you can do is then you feel like there's urgency because your job cannot continue because you didn't do that particular set of repair or improvement or whatever, and then the engineers did not give you instructions to proceed. So if that's the case, you should actually write to the engineers. You can write them and say, this instructions is given on this day, this date, and I have not received instructions from you. Please give us a formal instructions by replying to these inquiries, for example. So it must be clearly written down. And all the paperwork later on, if there's a dispute and if you need to go for dispute resolution, I can tell you, cerita akan panjang-panjang. Okay, if there will be documents that will be brought into the judges, there will be documents that will bring into the arbitrators. The mediator needs to go through all the documents. So if things are not written down, where are all the documents? Where are all the proof? Where are all the signature? Where are all the dates? It's so important. Dates are so important. Signatures are so important. References are so important. Reference numbers are so important. So letters, writings, everything, it must be properly communicated. Okay, so even memos, even informal discussions, if you need to, the contractor needs to do the writing and correspond. Remind them to give you the proper instructions. And maybe I should talk about VO. So after you receive the instructions from the engineers and they're giving you that, so you work out the additional cost or deduction or whatever, or the proposal that you need to give. And nowadays, a lot of this proposal that they want you to make a change, but they want you to propose. So you need to propose with your own ideas. And this idea needs to also be chopped and signed by your engineers. Like, for example, a proper PE. There's a lot of requirements nowadays that even counter proposal that the instructions of the engineers, the SO gave you, and then you propose, that proposal needs to be verified and endorsed by your own PE. So you need to go and get a PE to endorse it and then submit it back to the SO for further endorsement. So what happens is, once you propose, when the price is okay, then this SO will actually come out with a proper VO, variation order. You know, you need to come up with the order. So it will be a form, a letter, you know, all written down, how much work was instructed, you know, and what additional work instructed, how much price it is, and what are the rates and all that. And therefore, the final contract sum now becomes like this. So with that particular order, by right, only the change order of VO that is in your hands, you sign it, you agree with it, the contractor agree with it, then the work can proceed. Okay, that is the right way of change or variation on site. So the proper format is instructions given, instructions verbally given, instructions written, given in written form, the contractor propose or counter propose, verified, endorsed by their engineers, send it back to the SO. The SO will confirm on the final pricing or the final proposal, send it to the client. The client will issue or ask the SO to issue a formal variation or change order. So they will call change order 1, change order 2, change order 3, and the contractor needs to sign on this change order before proceeding with the work. Okay, so this is the formal procedures, and I strongly suggest that you go by the formal procedures and don't try to be funny. Don't try to be fast. Don't try to be if you want to be fast, why should you be fast? At the end of the day, if the engineers SO come and say that, oh, sorry, I never approve it, then you go and do already. Then it becomes your problem, you see. So if they seriously wants the VO to be carried out, they will issue you with the VO. They should be serious about issuing you with the VO. They should be fast. They should be coming up with it as soon as possible, not you trying to be fast and try to finish a job fast, okay? So please bear in mind, we do things the proper way because there is a lot of people who are actually con men and who are actually very, very unprofessional, even though they are wearing suits and even though they're wearing ties, they do not know how to behave like a human being or a professional person, okay? So they will try to be hanky-panky, they will try to, you know, rip you off and all that, so don't. Just go by a proper way, okay? Just go by the proper method, okay? Just go by the proper SOP. That is the best. You know, there is many times when you think that, oh, yeah, never mind, I just do this first. Later on, supplement with the documents. Yes, I mean, these are flexible. We human beings be flexible sometimes. That's how we move. Asians are very flexible, so we move things fast. I mean, we move things, you know, very fast. But there are a lot of people who suffer at the end of the day because of their flexibility, you see, and then end up they're not paid properly, you know, and then they go bankrupt, you know, and then they get sued, you know, a lot of these sort of issues come up because of people not following SOP. And then when things happen, when there's a bad, sour things happen, then people will look at if you follow SOP. You know, people don't look at your kindness in trying to do things fast. People will look, oh, where's your SOP? The mediator will look at SOP, the arbitrator will look at SOP, the judge will look at SOP. You know, it's just like now we go out to eat in the restaurant. Some restaurants, the 5 people come, what can we sit together? Then later on, people come and catch. The owner itself got 1,000. You find 1%, 1,000. They will look at the SOP. And they don't look at the kindness of the owner who is actually helping you to sit together. You see? So this one is try not to go into that kind of things, or not that kind of line in that sense. All right. So that is dealing with instructions, communications, and variation. Okay. Now the next thing is possession of site. Okay. So from possession of site onwards, I think I will come up with the recording now. So there will be possession of site with the working program. This is dealing with time already. extension of time and delay, I think we will talk about that in about one recording. And then we will also have payment, claims, and all that in one recording. And we'll also have other things like provisional sums and how to deal with provisional sums and insurances. And insurances and nominated subcontractor, we will deal with it in one recording. And other issues like performance bond, retention money, all that, we will deal with it in one recording. So there should be another 40 to 50 minutes of recording that I will put up by the end of the week. Okay? Or latest Monday, because on Tuesday we'll be doing an online face-to-face on dispute resolution. All right. So let me get. I think we're all very tired and bored already because I'm the only one talking, and you guys are so quiet, don't know doing what or thinking about what. And there's only 92 of you, so I think I will stop it, and I will put up the. I will put up. I will put up the QR code now. Okay? Anybody has any questions, you can just put it down in the chat box if you want to, or if you have any question to ask me while I'm doing my QR code, I can answer you, especially on the IDP and also IDP and also your project. Today we will go by Civil 3 first, just to be fair to Civil 3. Civil 3, people from Civil 3, your QR. Civil 2, Any more from Civil 2? I am opening up Civil 1 now, okay? Civil 3 1 later. Those that needs QR attendance later, okay? Civil 1, your turn. Anybody who need manual attendance have to wait. You already know the drill, okay? Any more from Civil 1? Okay, Civil Civil 3. Whoever needs to key in now, key in please. Civil 3, Civil 3. Last call for Civil 3. Last call for Civil 3. One, two, three, four, five. Off. Civil 2. Last call for Civil 2. One, two, three, four, five. Last call, Civil 2, off. Last call for Civil 1. Whoever needs manual attendance, you have to speak up, because I cannot go to the chat group and try to come to this, to check your chat group like that. It's very difficult, to go up and down. I only have one screen here, okay? All right, no more, no more from Civil 1. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Civil 1, last call, bye-bye. Okay, now, Civil 1, anybody needs manual attendance? Say it out, your student number and all that, don't type, No? No?
61424, doctor.
61424, okay. Any more? Civil 1, no more people from manual attendance. Okay, out. Civil 2, anybody needs manual attendance? I know this thing is disturbing.
63107.
63107.
Yes, thank you, Doctor.
Any more? Manual attendance? Any more? From Civil 2? No. Okay. Civil 3? Civil 3? Anybody needs manual attendance from Civil 3?
Me, madam.
Which one?
60634. The second one.
Okay.
Erickson, madam.
Harrison?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any more?
Thank you, madam.
Okay, madam.
Any more?
63037.
Any more? Okay. One more. And I need to do the NRR, people. Give me a minute.
62222.
Oh, from where?
CV3.
Why didn't you say so just now? NRR? Any more NRR? Civil 3? Civil 3?
62222. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you.
Civil 1, Doctor.
Huh?
Civil 1.
Why didn't you just say just now? I already closed Civil 1.
Line saya hilang. Tu masa pakai telefon.
Actually, I know some of you are not joining the class. You're somewhere else one, not listening at all one. And then just go somewhere, do other things. And then suddenly when I do attendance, everybody just come in and then you come in late and then you miss it already. Please don't think that I'm stupid, okay? It's just that I don't want to go and catch everybody and try to make a hoo-ha out of everything. I mean, it's your life, honestly. It's not mine, If you want to miss out, too bad lah. Who, student number?
KNS4713.
All right, done. No more. Okay, log out already. And you all can, I'll stop sharing my screen. All right, any other questions on assignments and all that? No, you can leave the room. If you want me to talk about assignments and all that, you can stay back for a little while, okay? Otherwise, you can start to move out. Okay, so please watch out for the pre-recorded. There's another, I put up some pre-recorded, but I put it in week 11, last three recordings. So that one you have to go and do your attendance list, which is due this Sunday. Okay, so go and check your e-links, and I will have another 4 to 5 recording coming up to finish up the lecture for construction contract administration. Okay. And next week will be clean, starting on dispute resolution and finish up the week with risk management.